All right. Y'all hear it? Y'all know what it is. It's Crazy Chaos Conversation in the building. And we have one guest for y'all tonight. Just as you can see, Miss Cheryl. And she can ready to give y'all some education on relationships and some mental health education. Some of y'all may not be paying much mind to in today's time. We're going to go ahead and get started. Because you know what it is? It's Wonderful Wednesday, man. And here on Chaos Conversation, sometimes when it comes to relationships, we don't know how else to say to y'all, but to keep it real. So, Cheryl, go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself so they know what they're dealing with. Go ahead.
Hi, guys. My name is Cheryl Grabowski, and I am a survivor of narcissistic abuse, and I am an advocate for mental health awareness. I also I'm a YouTuber. So my platform is on YouTube.
And I don't know what just caused her to go out like that, man, but that's what happens with all these daggum smartphones and technology, man. I can almost bet she had somebody text her or call her or something. Oh, there
Can
she
you
go.
hear me, Bruce?
We see you now. I'm not sure why you went out just now, but it's all good.
Let me go up here because
sometimes that happens.
If I don't do this here,
when you get a text or a scam call or something like that, and I'm not sure what happens. It's happened here a few times. But in the meantime, if you guys get a chance, check us out on Facebook, check us out on YouTube, check us out on all the other social media platforms there are, on the Chaos Combo on 01 on Twitter. And again, if you guys ever want to call in, if you guys got any questions or comments and you want to call in, let me give you this number right here so you can dial in, state your opinion, and or share your opinion. And that number is 984-464-0688. Cheryl, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I had a phone call, so I had to go out and put on Do Not Disturb. But yeah, so on YouTube, that's what I do. I teach about narcissism, what that looks like. We do talk about relationships. My expertise is not in relationships. That's mostly Bruce's thing. My thing is teaching people how to identify, number one, and then how to stay out of a toxic relationship. Yeah. So yeah.
So all right, because this on this topic today, I got for all y'all tuning in and all y'all stopping me and in the public, all y'all texting me and messaging me on social media and so forth and so on. My question to a lot of you all is, why and how do you all expect a man or a woman to bring all this value and treat you in certain ways you don't even treat yourself, and bring all these extra values you don't even have or offer in a serious committed relationship when you're really trying to move forward in life in that direction with a purpose? But I'm trying to help you understand anybody, everybody. Again, if you guys are not able to leave a comment, go ahead and just again, you can call this number 984-464-0688 and help me understand why a lot of you all are being that way when it comes to finding a man, finding a woman in a relationship. I mean, sure, what do you think? Why do you think a lot of people, like men, they want this woman with all this value of supporting him and his business and his vision, but sometimes he'll drop the ball himself, which happens. But why do you think a lot of men and women are like that?
Well, men and women, I would, we want a good quality person in a relationship. If you live long enough, say for instance, you're anywhere from 35 to 55 and beyond.
Yep.
We've made all the mistakes, right? And we want a quality person. We want someone who's not gonna bring us problems. Do you understand what I'm saying?
There you go.
So as it relates to the value of a person, that depends on what you value in the person. What is it that you're looking for?
Well, I mean, I'll speak from the man's point of view. A lot of times, men, when they look at a woman that he's going to date, that he's going to try to get to know or date with a purpose, to get to know her and possibly commit and marry her, he's looking for a woman who's going to, have a certain amount of respect for him. But then you got some men who don't have so much respect for himself. That's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of small things I'm talking about. There's some women like that also.
Right. So yeah. So respect is big for me, for women. Respect is like everything. Because there again, like I told your audience, I teach about toxic traits. Disrespect is high on the list for a toxic trait. Okay. If you're dealing with, for instance, if you're dealing with a guy or a man who has mommy issues and he doesn't know how to treat women, he's actually treating women bad because of his issues with his mother, and therefore he's severely disrespectful. Yeah, that's a no-go.
How about for the ladies, though? Do you feel that some women may not have her father in life and may lack some of that respect for a man?
Of course. What you think?
Yeah, and I feel that that's the part where there are some women who may not grow up with a father figure, and I mean a lot of women who don't. Some men don't either. So it's like when they don't, and that's what a lot of things start of how we are, how we act in a relationship, whether it's a friendship, partnership, relationship. That's the way a lot of us will act, is based on what we see around us as the same gender of who we are. Whether it's like I know some people who are brought up by their grandmother and their grandfather, but when they see a line of respect between the two, when they see so much love, so many of the things that matter in the relationship from their grandmother, their grandfather, it's like, okay, well, that shows them how they should be, act, or what they should accept growing up. So let's take when women don't have a father figure, it's like, okay, well, does she respect herself enough? Does she love herself enough? Does she know the values that men look for in her outside from a man's point of view? Not just from what her mother or aunt or the mother figure living with her may tell her. Does she know it from a point of view? Has that father figure or has her dad actually sat down, spoke with her about it? And a lot of times, I don't feel that many do. Some do, but not many. And the same with men.
Right, because we learn two ways. We learn by what we observe, and we learn by what we're taught. Right. So sometimes fathers don't necessarily sit down and talk to daughters, but we'll be looking at the father, how he interacts with the wife or the girlfriend or whoever. We'll be watching that, and that's how we learn. And if we are observing that model relationship, and I talk about that a lot on my channel, if you're observing that, that's going to be your model.
Yep.
That's going to be your example. And if that thing is toxic, and if that thing is dysfunctional, and if that thing is raggedy, then you're in trouble, because that's the model. See what I'm saying? So then you would have to be taught at that point.
Hold up. Now these are growth. It's like what I'm hearing you say, ladies and gents tuning in. What I'm hearing Michelle say are some of the things that kids pick up on. And it's like I always wondered, why there's so many people who pick up on the bad habits, just like kids do. Kids are always saying stuff they ain't supposed to be saying. They're always doing stuff they ain't supposed to be doing. And a lot of people who don't have a mother and father figure model to lay it out for them, they will pick up on all the bad habits that men or women should or should not have, or should not allow. Like, but our question is, why do you think that is? And then even grown folks will do it even when they watch, TV and movies. It's like, all right, well, going back to the movie like Baby Boy, a lot of people do live that way. They have lived that way. So that's why a lot of people like that movie, because they can relate to it. And they'll look at, okay, well, I want a man who's been in prison. Okay, like, is that all you can pick up out of the movie?
I don't think they necessarily say that, Bruce. I don't think anybody wakes up and says, woo, I gotta have me a prison dude. I don't think that. I think that it's part of the culture. It's part of what they see. It's part of mommy, auntie, cousins, the neighbor. They got a prison guy. So that's
come on. Hold up now, Cheryl. Hold up. That right there, I find that very hard to believe, because I will go on social media right now and see women posting about how that man was, undressed in there fixing breakfast or dinner, whatever the heck he was. Then they tell me, I need a man like that. So, I mean, come on. That's when people get stuff like that. Yeah.
What are you talking about? Say it again.
There's that movie Baby Boy where that dude was undressed and then he was fixing the Tyrese's mom or Baby Boy's mom breakfast or dinner or whatever. And you'll hear women like, I need a man like that.
They're not talking about him being in prison. They're talking about him being at the stove cooking for his woman.
But they already know he's from prison. They already know he just got.
Yeah, but that's not what we're focusing on.
That's what they be talking about, though. That's what they be talking about is, I need a man like that who's been to prison, who knows how to cook, who knows how to protect me and all this other stuff.
Bruce,
I'm like,
listen, I don't and never have known of one woman in my life that said conscious wise, right? That I need a prison guy. I've never heard of that in my life.
I've heard of women who, and some women who like that's not what she says. That's not what she comes out and said. But what she'll do is a man who can be my provider protector. She'll leave that door open sometimes for men, whether he's been to prison or not. And it's like, well, and because I've known only one young lady, Shannon. I'm not gonna give her last name away. Only one young lady, Shannon. And she did it around the time that movie was out. That's the only kind of man she started to open up to. I guess it was because of the previous damage that had been done to her. And we all knew she was a church girl too, but we always thought, she's a church girl, so she's gonna look for a man who's, into the word like she is. She's gonna look for a man who's, who has his stuff together. But I guess because I'm not gonna tell too much of her story or background, but because of the way she got done dirty, left hanging with a child, family wouldn't help her. The baby daddy's family wouldn't help her. She's left in the dark, having just by herself. Matter of fact, they caught her a couple times where I'm from, sleeping from abandoned house to abandoned house.
Well, Bruce,
after that, she was like, the only kind of man she wants is a man like that, because to her, that's where she's somewhat from the street. But when I say from the street, even though her family was from the church, it's like she was a little bit of a little hood. But she opened up like that to her. She only opened up that side of herself because to her that man had respect. That man, had gotten over the tough times in life that she did. So to her, he can relate. He can get her out, a lot easier than a so-called church man or church boy who had never been there before. That was kind of her mindset after she got abandoned from her family.
Okay, so she's just a part of the culture.
Okay.
I don't see that as being the average. The average female, right? So she's part of the culture. Sounds like she has, or has had lots of mental health issues. Her thing that she shouldn't even be looking for a relationship. She should be looking for a therapist or a life coach.
Well, I mean that was way back when. This was the 90s.
Long time ago. Yeah, I know. But I'm saying that type of person. So I'm 53, right? So the women that I know, they're not saying, oh God, I gotta have me a prison guy. They're not saying that. But then at the same time, I want to be fair. Just because you've been to prison, then it doesn't mean all the time that you're a terrible person, because sometimes bad things happen to good people.
And you got people like the great Malcolm X. He's a guy who turned his life around when in prison. Who's somebody else? I mean, the great boxer Bernard Hopkins. Many of y'all may not know him. He turned his life around. I mean, even the great who's some other people that have been in prison. I mean, there's been a lot of them. But I mean, I'm just naming a couple of people. Hopefully, some of y'all can identify. But I mean, to me, what freaks me out though is when I hear men and women, and then you got certain men who will not even consider a good woman, and unless he resembles his mother or whoever, or the female that helped raise him. And if she don't resemble her, then it's like, hey, off the radar you go, or off the, it's like, bye Felicia, get off the radar. And what do you say to a lot of men like that, even though he may have some childhood trauma issues or mental health issues, in his system? What do you say to a lot of men who
I think it's natural that men, well, my observation, just out of observation, right? I've noticed that men are attracted to women like their moms. Whether she's they're just attracted to women that are similar to their mother. It doesn't necessarily mean that
the inner being or the flesh. Come on.
Hold on. Can I answer the question?
Go ahead.
It doesn't necessarily mean that he's looking for a woman that looks like his mom.
Okay.
But she really could, her personality and inward GPS could be like mother, like his mom. Okay. Seriously. That's my observation through my marriages and dating and relatives and friends. My observation is there's a direct linked to his preference being similar to his mom. That's why if a man has a low vibrational, unevolved, toxic mother, he's getting ready to go through, because he's going to be attracted to women like that.
You think so? Okay. Okay.
I do think so.
Okay. And let's say you have a young lady, because a matter of fact, again, before I go any further, if any of y'all got any questions or comments you want to state, again, you can dial in 984-464-0688. But,
where are we? I don't know where we are. Are we Facebook, YouTube? Where?
This actually goes to YouTube. Yeah.
YouTube. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know why YouTube is that picky about the rated R language we might speak sometimes, but it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Because yeah, and just going back, there are some. Okay, so go back to the women who may not have that, like you just said, men have a mother figure a lot of times. To set an example, so for when the women don't have the father figure, do you feel that she is missing something, or do you feel she should know what to expect or what to get from a man? Because there's no father figure.
In my opinion, she's she's missing a lot. She's missing a lot, and part of her, part of what she'll be attracted to is whatever mom is attracted to.
Okay. What about the what she sees her friends attracted to, what she sees other women attracted to?
That's not really her. That won't be her model, because we're looking for models. Okay. The model is established between birth and 8 years old. That's where that model is coming from. It's coming from those years.
So help me. Okay, well, maybe you can help me understand why some women who they have this old traditional way they want to be. They want to live life. They want to have live their relationship. They have this old traditional way, but then why are some of those women attracted to the men who live in this new modern time? Well, why do you think that is? If their role model is the way their mother is, and is in a relationship, like their mother is old. The mother is old traditional. She's old fashioned. She's old traditional. But okay, if she's going to be old traditional, and when it comes to marriage relationship, why is her preferences sometimes? Why does her preference attract men who are not traditional? They're not, they're modern. They're not traditional. Why do you think that is?
No, I think you misunderstood me. She would be getting her model from the men that mom is seeing.
You're saying from the men that she's seeing?
Yes.
Okay, but and let's say that those men are traditional. The relationship that her mom is living is traditional. So
not the mother herself.
I'm saying the relationship her mother is living with that guy. In other words, they're both old school is what I'm saying. The man's old school. He opens the door for her. He takes care of all the bills. He's old traditional. But why is her preference? Why is some women's preference? Help me understand this, because I sure can't. Why, again, her stepfather and her mother are traditional. They're old school. We get that. But why is her preference spelled out to some men who are not traditional? They're modern. They do things the new way. Like, he don't want to be the bread. He don't have to be the breadwinner. He's
well, he could be modern. He could be a mix. He could be a combination of modern. He could be modern looking, but be traditional when it comes to his values.
Let's say he's not, though. Let's say he's not.
Well, that's not my observation. That's not what I see. What I see is science. I'm telling you, if I go back and see what you were around, what that woman is around as a kid, what she saw, whoever she saw mommy with, that's who she's gonna be with. Do you understand?
Somewhat, yeah. And so that's the part I'm getting to. While a lot of this, relationships are not what they used to be. That's what our last show was about. Relationships are not what they used to be. And all I'm trying to get people to see here is, like you keep saying, the mother is with this man who's, old school. He's traditional. He's, the basic fundamentals of what made relationships last, 50 to 80 years back then. But that's what's going on around her. But then her preference is more what she sees in today's movies.
I'm saying to you, it could look like
Yes.
That's a preference. But on another layer, because you can't look at it as just.
If you ask her, she'll tell you that too.
That's not my observation.
Okay. That's my experience taking all these calls, taking all these messages, and talking to people in the public, though, is, I want a man who, and see, what I keep running into is she'll name at least 3 or 4 things that she wants a man to have if she's going to be in a relationship with him. And those 3 or 4 things are the 3 or 4 things she sees her mother and her stepfather or her current father, whoever her mother's with. Those are the 3 or 4 things she sees them do on a regular.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
And then what I'll hear her say in the same sentence or same breath is, I also want him to be this way, let me have my space, let me do things. And then when she mentions the rest of what she wants in a man, the rest of it is the modern day, today's modern time.
And right, it's a combination of things, right? Because we're living in, they're living in their day. They're not living in mama's them day. Just like mama them used to drive certain type of cars, we drive different types of cars. You see what I'm saying?
Cars.
But when it get to the core of it, they're going to be with that person that is a picture or a model, that model from the childhood. That's what they're going to do. It's science. Seriously.
Yes.
You can see it all the time. That's why people need coaches, and that's why they need therapy, because they have to unlearn and then relearn and then get rid of that old programming, because that's why they break up and then they draw another person, different body, different name, different complexion, different height.
I don't know about different complexion.
Same person inwardly, though. Same person.
Oh,
same person. Yeah. So that's how you go from relationship to relationship, because you got to go back and change some things that you learned early on.
Still help. Anybody can help me understand. Even some men. I'll give you the example. About some men who are, to me, what I'm finding and talking to a lot of people, what I keep hearing is, I'll hear a man say, I want this, I want that, I want this, and I want all that here in a woman, right? I don't even hear him speak enough of what he's going to be offering, or what he's going to be applying, what he's going to be doing. Like, I'm a lot smarter, I'm a lot wiser, I'm a lot, more of this. I have plenty. He don't speak of how he's bettered himself from his previous relationship or his previous marriage. He just says what he wants. Or I don't hear men talk about what they don't want too much. I hear more men talk about what he wants. Talking about he wants this submissive woman. He wants this, woman who will have this and that. But I'm like, all right, dude, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing all this from men. I hear from women also. But talking about men now, I don't hear men speak of enough what he's going to be doing, what he's going to be offering, what he's going to be, applying in that next committed relationship. And to me, I'm a firm believer, speaking is in the power of the tongue. I don't care who you is. But then when men speak of, tell me what you think about this. When men speak of what he wants, but he still is, holding on to the things that he grew up around. What advice can you give the men who do that? Because they see the mom cooked for them, their mom took care of them, the mom did this, to that. Okay, they're 30, 40 years old plus now, 20, maybe late 20s. But these days, do you think a man can expect all that? Because he's still holding on to what his mom did for his dad or stepdad.
Well, or you sideways now, Bruce.
I don't know what just happened. I don't know what the technology, man. It's crazy. Flip flop.
All right. So, yeah, I think that's reasonable for a man to say. I think it's reasonable for a man to say, I need a cooking wife.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I need you to cook at least 4 days a week, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's reasonable. I don't feel like he should compromise and say, oh, well, this woman is fantastic. I like her, or I even love her. But one of his main things is that she be able to cook, because nowadays lots of women can't cook. They just don't. But it just depends on, when you make your list, where you can compromise and where you feel like you can't. And so, but I feel like it's reasonable for a man to say, I need this, this, and that, and to hold to it.
I don't know why this camera, man, keeps doing this, man. This camera's gone crazy.
Are you touching it?
I ain't touching this thing, man. It's on the stand. You know what I mean?
Oh,
it's just technology. It's just technology. I just tap it. See, it keeps saying this undo thing, man. This undo, and I ain't gonna touch it no more.
Yeah, don't touch it.
Yeah, but you see, in the meantime, ladies and gents, here on Crazy Chaos Conversation, we go to YouTube, we go to all other social media sites. All I'm trying to get a lot of y'all to see is stop trying to take bits and pieces of old traditional ways that matter to you, and then expecting your man or your woman to apply them in this new millennium we're living in. Because a lot of y'all don't even take it into consideration. And Cheryl put, let me know if I'm wrong. I know you got me about a couple of years, not many, but there was a time when I think it was the 40s or 50s until they passed a law in the 60s where women, you all could not even work. The most work you could do was a nurse or a maid. That was about it. You couldn't work in corporate America. Okay, so you were limited to how much money you could make. Okay, and then they put in a lot of stuff. What was it called? Welfare, and they put in a lot of things that were going to substitute a man's, responsibilities. And then so you have a lot of stuff that goes on, but because old school times is when the man did this, the man paid all the bills, the man did all that, the man did this, because a man could work corporate America, he could run a business, he could do almost anything. If a woman were to work a business, it was always like a family business that was passed on to her. It wasn't one she always just created out of nothing, because again, they were limited until the laws were passed. So, but a lot of men and women, what they're doing is when y'all keep taking these old, you're choosing the rules of the book that you want in your marriage and your relationship. And then in this new modern time, the man or the woman may not want to live by just those specific old school rules that you chose. And that's why you have so much, so many couples colliding and, disagreeing on this or that, because, well, these are my rules that my grandma did, that my mom did. Well, this is the way stuff is now. And it's like, hey, you can't keep using a typewriter in a touchscreen millennium. You can't keep using a flip phone or one of them G.I. Joe phones in this smartphone millennium. It's just not going to work. And it's the same way with relationships and marriages and commitments. You can't keep using the rules of the old traditional rules and applying to this modern day new millennium life that we're living. I'm telling you right now, and that's why the divorce rate is above 50%, if I'm not mistaken. Well,
I want to jump in there and to your point, you can't keep on using the old stuff to today. So I want to talk about the submission thing.
Go for it.
With the manosphere being such a big thing, right?
Yeah.
To me, the manosphere is the group of men who say that they're going to hold women accountable. But one of the things that the manosphere, in my opinion, that they focus on is they've grabbed that idea, that old idea from way back when, and they brought it up into the modern day time, and they've put a stamp of approval on it, and they've said, listen, I need you women to submit to us. And I'm just like, no. So to your point, women have evolved. Okay, so we're living in a day and time of Gayle and Oprah Winfrey. You know what I'm saying? Gayle and Oprah. So women are doing big business, all over the world. We even in other countries, there are women presidents. So I feel like with the men, I want to give the manosphere some advice today. If submission is really like super important to you, they're only going to be able to be with a certain type of woman, right? Because when you have a woman who is independent, she's educated, she's a go-getter, she's a boss lady, and all of those things, provision is not something, like traditionally speaking, like you said, she doesn't need for a man to necessarily do that. So it's not, this mold or this model doesn't fit the past. This is a new thing, right? So I feel like with the men, they limit themselves to a certain type of woman, and that's fine if that's what they want. They don't want to be flexible. They say, no, I need you to submit like the women used to back then when they didn't have many choices. You know what I'm saying? When everybody told them what you can do and what you can't and stuff like that. So the manosphere is just big on the submission. And I feel like it's unfortunate because they're missing out on what they could have. Because just because a woman is a boss woman, about boss lady or entrepreneur, and she's a go-getter like the man, doesn't mean that she can't be a good wife. It just means that she's a boss too.
A boss to who though?
She's just a boss in general. She's a boss of herself.
Okay, a boss of herself.
You know what I mean? Yeah, because
hey, you know what? Before I go any further, that's where I have seen, and I've talked to men and women at Crabtree Valley Mall where the woman makes more than he does because she's not nurse, she's she works at the dentist's office and he works, elsewhere, but he don't make as much as she does. She makes a good, good almost 60 plus. He only makes a good 40 plus.
Okay.
And I mean, and then they both try to have a side hustle on the side or whatever, but she makes more than he does. And when you just say women being the boss of herself, what I ran into with that couple was she had a child that she brought into the marriage. They only been married for a year and some change, and she made more than he did. So it was like, all right, but she tries to bring that boss mentality on him, and that's one thing I don't feel that women should do. That boss mentality on herself and her child, she should not try to bring that on her husband. That is something else.
Oh, that's not what I wasn't saying that.
Oh, shoot.
That's not what I meant.
When I started talking to them, this is all I did. And for some reason, this noise right here just caught everybody's attention when I asked her in front of him, are you actually trying to be the boss to him? Did you try to be to your child? I was like, man. I was like, man, you can not say no. We all laughed it off. We all kind of laughed it off. And there's people around us like, looking at us like we crazy. And you know me, man, I don't care sometimes. All right, sister, let me ask you this question. Why would you try to be his boss if he's and I named all the stuff that they talked about.
Why do you say, can I ask you a question?
I was like, man, come on.
Why? Okay, so what did she do? What did she do to make you feel like she's his boss or trying to be?
Okay, it was the things that that I was going by what they were saying. I don't even know. I just met the couple, ran into them like that. You know how I am. I'm friendly. I'll invite any conversation that comes my way. If you keep staring at me, I'll ask you, hey man, what's up? You trying to do an interview? But anyways, I was going off of what they said. Like he said, he would come home. And she would sometimes already be there. And he said they have kind of agreements of who does what chore, right?
Mm-hmm.
So his thing was he would come home later than she would sometimes, and then he would ask her to go ahead and do what she said she was going to do, and she'd like, no, you do it, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And it's like, okay, now I said, you guys got an agreement, right? She's like, yeah, okay. So oh no, what would happen is sometimes the next day, the next morning, she would tell him to do it as though, hey, I got to run to work and you're the last one, leaving, so you do it. But she was supposed to, like the day before, like, yeah, but I was tired, I was in the conversation, and I would hear all her excuses why she didn't do her chore, her side of what they agreed they were going to do. I don't care if it was, it's something as small as,
dishes.
Pick up after her child or something like that.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Pick up, and it's her child. It's not his now. It's her child. But he accepted it, because he took her as was. So it would be small stuff like that they would say. I'm like, okay, well, why would you not do your part and then wake up the next day and tell him or expect him? And I say, I'm not taking his side. This is just how people are. Because I ran into this today when I was in an appointment. Some people, matter of fact, a lot of people, once they have a child, they don't realize that they become more bossy than ever because they're so used to telling the child what to do, they'll start telling others what to do. But this is your husband now, so you telling him to go do something that you agreed you would do anyway. But
so you don't believe.
Then you're getting upset, and then she's getting upset with him because she won't do what he said. He won't do what she says.
So you don't believe in the happy wife, happy life. You don't believe in that.
It is happy spouse, happy house. Dadgummit. It is happy man is God's plan. That done it. Y'all see that again? That's an old traditional saying that people would live by for
Oh
so
my
long.
God,
But it's like,
that's
okay,
hilarious.
that's
Ooh.
because you guys acting for so long like men ain't got feelings. I mean, help me understand what man in the world makes you think a man ain't got no feelings, huh? What in the world makes y'all think a man ain't
Hold
got
on,
feelings? Because he
hold
does.
on, hold
Hell
on,
yeah.
hold
Think
on,
about it. Think
hold
about it.
on, because that was hilarious. Okay, so you don't
Oh,
happy wife,
mm.
happy life.
Happy
Okay,
spouse, happy house. That done it.
happy spouse, happy house.
Or
Okay,
happy man is God's
so
plan. Run until that. Run
so
until
what it looks like to me in
mm-hmm.
their situation
Mm-hmm.
is just personality, difference in personality. But so
She
a
didn't
lot of
argue.
people think, listen, this
Argue.
is the
She
thing.
didn't argue with him when he said that because he was like, I'll tell you a true story happened, man, a couple of weeks ago. That's what he told me. I'll tell you a true story happened a couple of weeks ago. And the fact that she didn't interrupt him, the fact that she didn't say you lying, the fact that she didn't try to even say any of that, I was like, okay, well, I asked her, okay, what's your excuse? He's like, well, he was the last one leaving home. I had to be to work by 7 o'clock, whatever. He said, and I like, that's why that's why you're mad at him because he don't do stuff you do when you agreed that you do it anyway before this. I was like, come on. Now that to me is that can be a part of, that's not like a breakup kind of deal there. That's just kind of in a way, a disrespect kind of deal, if you ask me. Because she agreed to it. She agreed, you do
So
this.
what should he do?
Hmm?
What should, how he should
Hey,
how would you handle that?
well, again, once again, based on how many, if it happened 3 or 4 times for me, I'd be like, well, have any one of y'all decided, consider therapy? He's like, yeah, I have, but it doesn't match her schedule because of what she does. I'm like, okay, well, I hadn't asked her, how about you? Like, she's like, yeah, I'm willing. I have to just find the time that we can. And I liked how she kept including we. And I was like, well, let me ask you a question. Is your son including that? And she's like, yeah. I mean, she kind of hesitated on that, but I mean, family is about, all families involved, not just the husband and the wife, because kids, they got feelings also. So I said, well, her thing was finding the days, finding the time for it. But I mean, working for a dentist, a doctor, whichever one it was, I forgot. But she works for something like that. Yeah, her schedule is a little bit tighter than his is. But he seemed to be open to it. So therapy, again, I'm not married, don't have any kids yet. But I was like, therapy is one of the very first things I can advise couples, whether you're married or committed or, whatever. And you're serious about, the relationship or the partnership is, as your partner is, then yeah. But they hadn't been yet. By the time I talked to them, they hadn't been yet.
Okay. Well, it sounds like to me that it's just a personality thing. Seems like her personality might be a little bit stronger than
because she makes that's
huh?
Because she makes more and she's bossy to her son.
I don't think that has anything to do. Me, in my personal opinion,
well,
I don't think it has nothing to do with the amount of money that she made. That's just probably her.
Well, again, he knows her better than we do. So I can only go off of what he said. He said that she's been like that, ever since they got married.
People's
She's always made
personality
more.
don't
You think his
change because of
personality?
that.
He said that she's always been like that since they got married. And I mean, she's had the son before they got married. So, but I'm like, to him, he's the one living with her now. To him, it's like the way she treats him is the way she treats her son is the way she tries to treat him in a lot of ways. So I'm like, yeah.
If normally if that's the case,
mm-hmm.
She's treating him like what he is. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. He's older. He's
you know what I mean by that? Because
he's older than her though.
Huh?
He's older than she is.
That doesn't matter.
I mean, yeah, I know some men and women don't act their ages. I hear what you're saying, but it's like, okay, dude, here your woman is, and here your wife is, and he said he's doing. I'm doing my part, man. He's like, do I like to do this or I can do that? Like, yeah, she likes to go shopping. She likes to do this. I like to do my thing. And what I mean by that is they each have their own. She likes to shop. He likes to play games. I mean, hey, to each his own with that. But my thing was just.
Did he say that he was happy in his marriage? Did she say they're happy?
When did I get to that part? They didn't come out and say that. I know that.
Huh?
They didn't come out and say that. That didn't fall.
Did they look happy to you?
Yeah, they did.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were sitting over there at the table laughing, and you know me, just like now, man. When I be sitting here doing crazy stuff like this right here, and I be catching people's attention around me, and they be looking at me, and they like what I'm saying, and they start to invite themselves over and stuff like that. So they were having a good time. I mean, even the son was having a good time from what they were showing. And then we just talked about it, and I'm like, all right, man, go ahead. I mean, I didn't go live because I just met them, and and then also at the place I was at, they don't like you recording in there. They don't like you recording other people because it's I'm not. It's just their rule. So I didn't cause any trouble. But that couple, I mean, couples like that, married for a short time, but the thing I liked is they were young. They both identified what the issues were in the marriage. And my thing is, don't. A lot of people who are in marriages, you're always gonna know your spouse more, better than anybody, based on how long you've been with them. But don't try to change because you see stuff in movies and you see stuff in social media and you see things other people around you are doing, or you may hear something that someone says and on YouTube, and you want to try to work that into your marriage. But that's the whole point of going to counseling, going to therapy. That's the first base when
well, actually they should do some of that stuff before they get married.
But yeah, that's the whole.
They should do some of that stuff because people, I'm telling you, change change doesn't come easily.
Yeah, that's true.
Not at all. Mm-mm. So if you marry a person, that's what you got. So you're supposed to do all that before that point.
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and these next 20 minutes, sure, I'm gonna go down to this next topic. And that is, do you feel respect can be bought for man or woman? Because a lot of men, like I was sharing with you earlier, and some men are like this too, but a lot of women want this man to have all this materialistic stuff in order for her to respect him. I say materialistic items in order. So those materialistic items can be a ton of things, but for her to give him the respect, he has to have those things. Do you feel like that's buying his respect, or him having to buy his respect?
If that, I mean, if that's how she sees it, like, what I mean? I mean, if that's how she see it, if that's what she wants, like we just talked about the boss lady, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not her requirement. Mm-hmm. But for some women, like Shira 7 on YouTube, TikTok, and other, she's a teacher of that. She absolutely 1000% teaches, like, from day one, you never date a man without money. Number one. Number two, no, seriously, no.
That's crazy is what I'm saying. It's just
but
crazy.
What I know, but I'm trying to just educate your audience. Because I know you're part of the manosphere. I do know where I am. Okay.
Whatever, mom. Go ahead.
But so she's saying that from day one, you need to be dating somebody with 6 figures, because the thing about it, you need to be able to live, to drive, to eat, to go, and to purchase whatever you want. Because she's saying, and it's not, I'm just saying, what she's saying is that when a man approaches you, he wants something from you. From day one, he wants something from you.
I'm about to step in, and I'm about to step in and correct her. I don't know who this woman is you're talking about. I'm about to step in and correct her. A man does not.
No, you can't correct her.
Watch me. Not all men want something from.
Well, why would you stop
Some men, let me finish. Some men want something with a woman, and don't try to correct those words either, because that means a whole lot when you want something from a woman than with a woman. And you just said from.
If you even want something with the woman, then what do you have?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What do you have? Because what Shira is saying, if you are 19 to 30 years old, you're young, you're beautiful, you're an asset on your own. Like you're that girl. And you need to know that from day one. You're a hot commodity, you're very valuable. And it is what it is, because people are choosing, Bruce, you know this. You're a successful guy. People are choosing to live a certain way. In doing that,
there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. In doing that, then you choose how you want to live and what you want to experience. So you can't be with someone who's not financially stable, because
That's
you
not true.
won't be able to do the things that you want to do. You just won't. You just will not. And that's the reality.
That's not always true. And see, that's people who want to put materialist. I tell you what, take away all the materialist. Like, I would ask a rich, wealthy person this right here to their face. Outside of all the fame, the fortune, and all the materialistic items that you have, who are you? That is what keeps marriages, partnerships, and relationships together. Take away all the materialistic items and show me who you are. Because like,
I don't
I'll tell
necessarily
women,
agree with that.
I'll tell women, and I'll tell men, straight. I mean, I'll tell people in general straight up. I hold all the values your money can buy. I don't care what currency you have. And
Bruce, but at the
when
same
those values,
time,
but those values, that if a man has those values, trust me, he's sometimes, not all the time, sometimes when he holds all those values, he's worth it. I mean, you take a great guy again. I'll go back to a guy who, again, someone like a Malcolm X figure. He didn't have all that. He wasn't no rich, wealthy guy. He was well known. He wasn't no easy walkover. He stood up for what he believed in. He had respect. He showed, support. He had all the things that mattered in his relationship. But those materialistic things that she's mentioning, they were around back then. They weren't as big as they are now. The wife probably didn't have the option to work, or to work for those things. So it's like, to say a man has to have those.
I get it. I understand where you're coming from.
Fake news.
You're talking about morals, character, and values, right? That's what you're talking about.
But values are not materialistic items in a man, is what I'm trying to say. That's all.
I get it. But in the dating world, I'm just saying, I'm just going to speak for I'll just use my experience, for example,
Sure.
and lots of other people that I've known through observation. Struggle love is not good. Struggle love ain't good. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of relationships break up because the finances are not where they're supposed to be. So struggle love is just a struggle.
Lack of respect.
We're not talking about struggle love, because Shira 7, that's what she talks about. You just don't waste your time on a dusty. She calls them dusties, but you just don't. But at the same time, like, because I'm a mother of 3 sons, I'll say it this way.
You saying the man or the woman is dusty?
Well, of course, I'm gonna call the man dusty. I'm not gonna.
Okay, so what about the women who are dusty though? What about them who are dusty? What about them, huh?
No. I'm only calling the men dusty, because a lot of times men they pursue women sexually. I'm just gonna be honest. The young ones and the old ones, they do.
So why does the man have to have all these finances, all this materialistic stuff, but the woman ain't got to have nothing?
Because she's being pursued sexually. She has something.
Oh, okay.
She has something. She is the something.
But that's a lot of things when I say that men.
She's the something. She's the something.
And so what's he?
I'm not saying that he's not, but he's pursuing.
Yeah, that's no matter
right. So when he comes pursuing, and this is the advice that I have for men.
Mm-hmm.
Stop doing that. You know what I'm saying? So Shira 7, this is what she did. She has a man. She is married. His name is, what is his name? John. And he has afforded her a fantastic lifestyle. But she's also an entrepreneur and a businesswoman, because she's taken his assets and she's taken them to another level in her life. And she has 2 girls. I don't know if they belong to him though. I don't know. But anyway, so they have this fantastic thing, but she's saying, and I got to admit, I'm 53 years old. My daughter is 30. I don't want her with somebody who can't provide for she and Ashley. I don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it. I also want him to have character, be emotionally intelligent, and have good values. I do.
Okay.
I just got to be honest. But then at the same time, you got the manosphere, and they are saying that women are materialistic and they don't want no woman like that. If they lose everything they got, they want somebody to be a ride and die for them. That's what they want.
That's what men deserve, because you think about it. What I just heard you say. What I just heard you say though was that her husband came with a business. Okay, I'm just gonna call it his empire. I'm just gonna call it his empire because I'm not sure how
he's very successful. Yeah.
I'm not sure how much money he was making. So I'm just gonna call it his empire. And when he came with his empire and she had hers, she
didn't have hers.
You said she's a business entrepreneur, right?
No, she is now. She was just a young, beautiful young girl that worked in retail.
So then, in cases like that, if ladies and gentlemen tuning in, for those of y'all who are sitting here wondering, well, what if she builds him up, but he has nothing to provide? Now, if a man doesn't even have an empire to bring to the relationship, then that's some stuff you have to talk about. And how much is it going to matter to your assets while you're dating him, texting him, talking to him, getting to know him? How big of a factor is that in your way of living? Because some folks like her, I don't know where she lives, but I'm pretty sure somewhere like a Georgia, California spot where, Chicago, somewhere where the cost of living is pretty high, where you have to hustle. I mean, here and there are certain parts of the U.S. I don't know about the world, but there are certain parts here in the U.S. you don't have to hustle that hard to make a living. But I mean, if she wants 5 vacations a year, then that's her and her family. Most women may not even want 5 vacations a year, but that's the way she's living her life. She also has to let women know that they have to bring to the table. They have to bring the values that she's bringing. You can't just look at what the man's bringing and be like, well, if he ain't got no empire, get off the radar. She has to make sure that she tells women to make sure they're bringing, the support that she is, or the values that she is.
She does teach them that. Any good coach or teacher would, because basically that's what she is. She's on YouTube.
Okay.
She's coaching. So, she talks about, all those wonderful things. She's not just talking about, oh, you just landed you a rich man and you just sit and fall back and do nothing. That's not what she's saying. She's saying when you do and you have this thing, you have this new lifestyle and this valuable person in your life, then you level up and you meet him there where he is. Right.
So and then when you have women who are like that, and they say, okay, well, she's going to play her part. And then you got some men who might start do some half-assing on his part, because sometimes men may have to dig themselves out of a hole too many times, and then he gets tired. He needs a break. Some men do have that pursuit of happiness mentality, but it just the gas runs out sometimes. And when that happens, I mean, both of them seem to act like they said for better or for worse, and they don't know what it means no more. It's like they unlearned it.
I mean, my observation nowadays is that people are deciding, people from the age of 30 all the way up to 60 are deciding to not be in a relationship. People are not really doing relationships like that anymore.
Well, I mean, that goes back, that goes back to the question I ask each and every one of y'all, and you can answer your comment. You can, again, if you guys want to dial in, go ahead, call in if you want to. Again, you can dial 984-464-0688. Go on speaker, come on live. But when a lot of men and women, that's because, like I said, marriages are not what they used to be because of all the options that people have now.
Well, I don't think they should be what they used to be, because marriage, the institution of marriage, to me, to be honest, I've been married twice and divorced twice, and I'm single now. So when I look at marriage as it's described from what I thought it was, what I subscribed to when I got married both times, no.
I got one question though. I got one quick question. This is a question for all y'all. You can answer simply yes or no. Did you by any chance do a mental health check on either of the ex-husbands you used to have?
No, I was 18 when I got married.
That is one of the biggest factors I feel people overlook, men and women overlook that in marriage and commitment relationships these days anywhere. I do feel it's
first of all,
I do believe it is a factor.
First of all, If you are mentally ill yourself, you're not going to do a mental health check, because there are a group of people who don't know that they are mentally ill. They are narcissists. They think that they're perfect.
And you know what, Cheryl? When one does not want to do it on themselves, that's that flag on the play. You should pick up and kind of identify while you're dating him or her.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. Be honest. In the last 15 years, people have not really, now everything, all things mental health now. That's the era that we live in right now. That's what I do. That's my thing, right? But all things mental health now. 10, 15, 20 years ago, no. The only thing that we had was religion, and you might go to the pastor and get counseling, which is not counseling at all. That is not.
I'd be stressing the hell out of them, man.
Yeah, biblical counseling is no counseling at all. That's just basically having somebody else's ideas about relationships. That's not it. You know what I'm saying? Therapy really is all about you, not Paul, Peter, John, and Ephesians, the Colossians, and Revelation. No. But so that's a new wonderful thing now. Now people are deciding to check into their mental health and have a relationship with themselves.
So some men, like, I mean, I even showed you where some men, they don't come out and say this, but they show it all the time. They feel like when a woman wants them to have money, she wants him to have his own house, his own car, his own place, all this materialistic stuff. Some men feel like a woman will not respect him until he has all five of those things. And some men feel like his respect has to be bought with all those things. So explain to the men and women how you agree or disagree, or your point of view from a woman's point of view of how some men feel like that.
I want men to try to put themselves in a woman's shoes. That's first thing. Okay. First thing, you got to try to put yourself in the other person's shoe. Okay. So as a woman, no woman wants to proudly claim a man who's not a full-grown adult. So the reason why it's not really about the house and the car and the bank account, really, but at the same time, if you're an adult, then why don't you have it? And then if I'm going to be your life partner, then we're doing this thing together, and I don't want to suffer. See what I'm saying? So it's just it's like almost like self-care. When you're choosing your mate, you're really looking out, it's you, because listen, I tell young people all the time, any kind of people, when you have a union with a person, every good thing and every bad thing about that person becomes your thing. It's your thing now, because that's your person. Whether they are evolved or not, whether they are healed or not, that's your situation. That's your person. And so who is going to choose an upwards battle of a person who don't know themselves? Number one, that's the worst thing. A person who really doesn't know who they really are.
Okay.
And then for the second thing is that they can't, how should I say it? They just got work to do. So just let them work on themselves and stay single.
Really?
Serious.
Yeah.
Yes. Let them work and just let them work on themselves. We are so, like, I don't know, we're so busy running to the altar. I really feel like, I don't know what men want, but I really like, women have the worst fantasies of weddings. We want a damn wedding so bad. Like, a marriage and a wedding are not the same thing. A wedding is just a ceremony. It is not a marriage. The marriage is a job. When your husband want dinner on the stove, you get in there, cook. That's work. A wedding is a show.
I know. And you know what? I'm going to say this in closing. From talking, again, I used to.
Why are we closing?
Because we only do an hour. That's why.
No.
We only do an hour. But I'm gonna say this in closing is that when I used to interview couples, one thing I would always ask is who won the wedding, and, you know, how did it go, and so forth and so on. And then I did some research when, you know, Google was just coming up, and there was still a lot of money magazines out, and, you know, those kind of magazines. But when I did my research, I found that a lot of the weddings that cost the most money, those marriages did not always last as long as the ones where people just simply like went downtown or went to the courthouse and got their, you know, got their vows or whatever.
It's a, you know, I just want to say about that. That's a fantasy.
Yeah.
Real life is not Hollywood, for one.
Thank you.
It is not Hallmark cards.
Mm-hmm.
It is not Disney.
Thank you.
These people who are in love with the idea, because it's an idea of a wedding with with your friends, and now you've accomplished this thing. No, you just started. It's just like your first day on your job. You won't have to work that job for 35 years. I need y'all to get over that. Stop it.
All right, Cheryl. But you know what? We're going to close out the show, man, here on Chaos Conversation on this hump day, wonderful Wednesday. We appreciate all y'all who tuned in, and definitely come, you know, find us on Facebook. Come find us back. We'll be up here on YouTube in a few minutes. We'll also probably make a few links to throw on Instagram and, you know, and TikTok. So, sure, anything you want to say in closing, man?
No, thank you for having me, Bruce. It was a riot.
All right. Appreciate it. Well, we will see y'all next time.